I think now it's no need to wait, right? Because most of you have joined the meeting. And I think we can just get it started. All right. Before I start, I want to tell you, tomorrow is the last day of this training course, and when we finish all the content, you need to have a small exam. All right, just a small exam, and I will give you about 20 to 30 minutes to finish that exam. Just 20 questions, all right? Just 20 questions. So don't worry about that. If you think 20 minutes is not enough, then 30 minutes. And you can test yourself about this 10 days learning through this small exam. All right. And today's part is about the VPN. The title is Encryption Technology Applications, but actually, is mainly talk about the VPN part. So that's the reason why yesterday I introduced you the encryption and decryption and the PKI certification part. It is because that is the precondition of the VPN. Because when we try to use the IPsec VPN, most widely used one, we need to know the working principle of encryption and the decryption. I just heard someone want to say something, right? You want to say something? Okay, no one. Yeah, so that's why I introduced you the encryption and decryption part yesterday. Okay, and one more question. Can you open the eLab? I ask you again. Can you open the eLab now? I still remember, Mr. Eastban. You asked me for the eLab issue, eLab problem, and I answered you yesterday. So can you log into the eLab right now? Because today, when we finish the introduction of the theoretical part, IPsec VPN, I will left you several minutes, maybe 20 or 30 minutes to practice by yourself. Yes or no? Okay, good. That's good. And then let's move to the VPN part. And before we start the first chapter of the training slide, let me tell you one thing. That's a conclusion. That's a conclusion of the VPN. And that sentence is all the VPN technology, the key word, the essence is just one word. And that word is called encapsulation. That's the key of the VPN technology. I mean, all kind of VPN technology. The essence is just that word, encapsulation. All right. And why we need VPN? Why we need VPN? Do you know the reason? Do you know the reason why we need VPN? Remember, I told you before. This is a very classic scenario. For example, this is your PC, right? This is your PC. And this is a firewall, your company's firewall. Maybe DC, all right? Headquarter, HQ, headquarter company. And inside of the headquarter company, there are so many servers. So many servers. And maybe those PCs are owned by the employee who is in the trouble now, who's in the trouble to another city to do his job. All right, but he or she do have the requirement to access into the headquarter company's network to view those servers resource, right? Yeah, that's the need. That's the need. Right? And between the PC and the firewall, the middle part is ISP network, internet, right? Internet. And the PC actually are using the private IP address allocate by its local network. Maybe this PC is connected to a Wi-Fi, and that Wi-Fi AP access point allocate this PC a private IP address, right? But private IP cannot routed by the internet ISP network. So how can those PC connect to the headquarter? That's the question, right? So actually, we need to use one technology, and that is VPN, virtual private network. All right. And after a PC send a message, before the PC send a message, the PC need to install a agent, right? Agent application. Agent application. And the PC's local network do have a router or a firewall. And the router and firewall have the public IP. So the PC now have the agent, and the edge of the local network do have a public IP. Okay, these are the two preconditions, right? Okay, by using the public IP and agent, the PC send the traffic, and origin packet L3 information, L4 information. Okay, the source IP address maybe 10.1.1.0, right? .1, okay? And plus the VPN technology, encapsulation. After encapsulation, the origin packet transferred to a new format, and this origin part can regard as the data part of the new packet, right? The red packet is after encapsulation. The origin part is the data part inside of this new packet, all right? And which means that this is the origin L3 information and L4 information. But this is the data, regarded as the data part. And after the encapsulation, add a new L3 header, IP header. And a new L3 IP header, the source and destination IP is a public one, maybe 100.1.1.1. This is the source, and destination 200.1.1.1, right? And L4 information. And of course, between L3 and L4, we need to insert a VPN encapsulation header. For IPsec VPN, it's called ESP, right? ESP or AH. For the GRE, there is a GRE encapsulation header. All right. Okay. And after the encapsulation, the traffic can be routed across the ISP network and received by the firewall, right? Okay, and the firewall decapsulation, which means remove this part, and recover the origin packet and send to the server. An origin packet, actually, they're using the private IP address as the source IP and the destination IP, right? Okay. And that's encapsulation, which means we put some new header, the VPN header, and the new L3 or L4 header. This is the expansion part. And that is necessary. If we don't do so, the origin packet cannot pass through the ISP network. And that is the reason why we need VPN. All right. Is that clear? Is that clear of why we need VPN? Hello? Yes. Okay. And then we check the training slide. Cryptography application. The VPN, some features: confidentiality, integrity, identifiability, no repudiation, authorization, and access control. And these are the functions of the VPN technology. Okay. And this is the background. And also a very classic scenario. A branch company tried to access the headquarters. And I just show you the image. And this image is the employee who's in trouble trying to access the HQ's server. And that's one of the classic scenario. And this is the second type. The branch trying to access headquarters, and which means in this case, it have two firewall or two router. It should be L3 device, right? It should be L3 device. Okay. And there is another requirement. See this page. Confidentiality and integrity, right? If we just transfer the traffic between the firewall and firewall, routers and routers, that's not enough. We need to encrypt, do the encryption to the packet we have already encrypted, encapsulation, right? After encapsulation, the traffic need to be encrypted. And when the hacker or man in the middle catch the packet, he cannot read it. That is the secure requirement. Okay. In the definition of VPN, the explanation of official part, VPN has following characteristics: private IP. A private VPN is a network dedicated to VPN users. For users, a VPN provides the same services experience as a traditional private network. Okay, that is to say, for the PC, for the user, they have no idea of what happened, especially in this scenario. Those PC, the users don't know how many devices in the network they have. They have any idea. They just know I send a message to a destination IP, and I can access the server. And the server can give me back a reply message. That's all they know. It is end to end, right? End to end. They have no idea of how many devices in the middle part of the network. They have no idea. Virtual VPN users communicate with each other, public networks, which are used by non-VPN users at the same time. That's the scenario one I showed you, right? PC, in this scenario, the PC install the agent, some kind of application, app, application. For example, Huawei company have one application, and that is called Xgate. This is provided by Huawei, raised by Huawei, Xgate. And actually, this is a SSL VPN agent, all right? And the VPN encapsulate and encrypt data so that the data cannot be cracked, even if it is stolen by hackers, all right? Encapsulate and encrypted. Yeah, and that's the image, and this page show us the topology. And you can see this one, this blue tube, and this tube is called the VPN tunnel. VPN tunnel. It's just like it's just like between the PC and firewall, they establish a tube, a tunnel, and the traffic sent into this tube, and for a tube there are two ends, right? Two ends, the entrance and the exit, entrance and exit, and this is the entrance, and this is the exit. All right, go inside and go out. And for the traffic, for the origin packet, they just need to go into this tunnel and go out. And they just find out when they go out, okay, I have already arrived at the destination, right? But actually, this tunnel is a logic concept. The tunnel is a logic concept. It's not a physical one, which means we do not build a real tube between the PC and firewall. All right? And the essence of the tunnel is the encapsulation header. The essence of the tunnel is the encapsulation. Capsulation. The essence of tunnel is this thing. If we use the IPsec VPN, and that's ESP, and if we use the GRE, then the tunnel is the GRE header. All right? And also, the tunnel need to be negotiated before the traffic go inside and go out. Before they establish the PC and firewall, or firewall and firewall establish the tunnel, they need to negotiate for some VPN application. Negotiation first. And after I send you the proposal, and you give me your proposal, and we have a deal. We just have an agreement. You use SHA1, and I use SHA1. And I use AES, you use AES, and pre-share key. Yes, we make a deal. Then we can establish that tunnel. All right. So you need to know the essence of the VPN tunnel. It's not a real one. It's just a logic concept. All right. And why we describe the VPN tunnel as a tube help us to understand, all right? This is not a real tunnel. See that? A logic link. This is just a virtual concept, logic link. Okay. And to a typical scenario, the client direct connect to the enterprise edge, a link to the firewall, or the branch company use its firewall to establish the VPN tunnel with the headquarters firewall, network 1 or network 2. And there are several types of VPN: SSL, IPsec, L2TP, or L2TP over IPsec. Client to site. This is client to site. Site to site. Device and device. Site to site. Client to site. Two types. All right. And the types of the VPN technology. These. All right. Okay, then I'm gonna introduce you one of the classification of the VPN. We separate all the VPN technology as the network layer. I mean the TCP/IP working module, layer 2, layer 3, layer 4, 2, 3, 4. One of the classification method. Okay, now we have L2 VPN, PPTP, L2F, and L2TP, and L3, GRE, and IPsec. SSL VPN is based on application layer. Actually, layer 4 and layer 5, all right? Layer 4 and layer 5, SSL VPN, application layer. Okay, but what is the difference between the L2 VPN and L3 VPN? What is the main difference between them? Okay, I'll explain you that. For a L2 VPN, for example, L2TP VPN, this is the origin packet. Origin packet, all right? L1 information, L2 information, L3, L4, and L5. This is a complete packet, right? Okay, and after encapsulation, VPN encapsulation, the traffic will become like that. The origin packets L2 and to the L5 part, this part, as the data part, the new packet data part. And we add the new header, new L3 and new L2. Of course, new L1. This is after encapsulation. This is before encapsulation, origin packet. And when the receiver receives this message, all he needs to do is remove this part, right? Delete it, and zoom in this part. Recover the packet. Okay. It will be like that. Origin packets L2 information remained. And L3 information remained. L4 remained. L5 remained. All right. which means the L2 VPN can remain the origin message, the contents from L2 layer, from L2 to L5. You see, this part from L2 to L5 don't change. After encapsulation and decapsulation, the origin part, L2 to L5, no change, no change. And that's called L2 VPN. All right? That's called L2 VPN. And what about L3? What about L3? Okay, see that. Origin packet. This is origin packet. L1, L2, L3, L4, and L5. All right. And we do the VPN encapsulation. VPN encapsulation. Okay. L3 VPN, just this part. From the L3 to L5, 3, 4, 5 remain. And origin packet L1, L2 dropped, removed. All right. Which means these 3 layers part as the new packets data part. And we add the IP header, the header, L3 header, L2 header, and L1. All right. Okay. When the receiver receives this message, okay, then it just remove this part and take this part, data part, and recover this message. When we open the data part, we can see the origin packets L3 information, L4 information, and L5 information. But the origin packets L2 information, gone. Gone. All right? And that's L3 VPN. Which means after encapsulation, the origin packet can remain the contents from L3 to L5. Compare with the L2 VPN. L2 VPN is after encapsulation, the contents of the origin packet remain L2 to L5. All right? And that is the difference. That is the difference between L2 and L3. Am I clear? Am I clear? Okay, good. Okay, good. And what about application layer VPN? What about application layer VPN? Which means it just remain the application part, right? L5 part, L1 to L4, gone. But origin packet L5 remain. That's the difference. So next time when you see the L2, L3 VPN, you know the difference, all right? You know the difference. No matter the technology they use, what kind of technology they use, same, all right? Okay, see that by VPN implementation, hierarchical. Yeah, and next one, key VPN technology, tunneling technology. So actually the essence, next step is to describe how do we establish a VPN tunnel? How do we establish a VPN tunnel, right? And that's the key. What, why, and how. What is VPN? Why we need VPN? And how we establish VPN, right? 3 steps. That is called golden circle. When we learn everything, we can obey this rule. what, why, and how. And that's how key VPN technology, tunnel technology. Okay, and these are the several VPN types: GRE, L2TP, IPsec, and SSL VPN. And actually, today's the most important part, today's VIP is IPsec. All right, IPsec, most widely used VPN type, and also SSL VPN, because SSL VPN do not use the agent. We don't use agent, but IPsec, yes, we need. Okay, key VPN technology, encryption technology. Do you still remember the encryption and decryption part? For encryption, how many algorithm type we have? How many types for encryption algorithm we have? Yesterday, I have mentioned, I spent almost 2 hours to explain the encryption and decryption part, right? How many encryption big type we have? How many? Answer me the question. 1 or 2 or 3? 3. I mean encryption. I know when you say 3, I know what you are thinking in your brain. 1, oh, encryption algorithm is 2. The type is 2. 2 type: asymmetric algorithm and symmetric algorithm, right? And that's the encryption technology. Just 2 type: symmetric and asymmetric. And when you say 3, actually is the symmetric algorithm, asymmetric algorithm plus the hash algorithm, and that's 3. But my question is, how many encryption algorithm the types we have? And the answer should be 2. All right. And maybe in this case, when the sender want to send some message to the receiver, the file, the big size file, need to be encrypted by the symmetric algorithm, right? And a symmetric algorithm is just have one key, and this key is used to do the encryption, and the receiver receive the encrypted message. When he want to decrypt this message, it still use the same key, right? It still use the same key. But the asymmetric algorithm is much more complicated. It creates a pair of key, private key and the public key. If I encrypt the message by the public key, then I can only decrypt by the private key. And in opposite way, if I encrypt the message by using the private key, then I can only decrypt by the public key. All right, A and B, B and A. And that's asymmetric algorithm. And for the VPN technology, IPsec especially, we need to use the asymmetric and symmetric both, and also hash algorithm. See, IPsec supports encryption of data packet and protocol packet, but L2TP and GRE do not provide encryption technologies. So that's why there's a page when we see, for example, client to site VPN. This scenario, we have this technology, L2TP over IPsec, which means L2TP encapsulation plus IPsec encapsulation. 2 VPN technology together, because L2TP, if we just use L2TP, there is no encryption function. All right. And GRE also. GRE is a layer 3 VPN and also don't have the function. Do not provide the encryption technology. And another key point of the VPN, the last one, the previous one is about the encryption and decryption. And this one is the data verification. Data verification, which means, yeah, you send me a message and I receive that message. How can I know this message is from you, not from a hacker? And that is data verification. Sometimes we need to prove ourselves, right? Okay. So the key point is hash. Do you still remember the hash? There are 4 features, right? 4 features. And one of that feature of hash is input sensitive. Avalanche effect, which means if I just change 1 bit of the input, then the output is totally different. By using this feature, we can check whether the message we received has been modified or not. Right? And that's data verification. And the hash, just use hash is not enough. It's not enough, right? Because hacker can also use hash algorithm. So in this case, we need use some more security method, CA, certification, right? Or pre-shared key. Before A and B try to transfer their message, okay, A just figure out a password and he just make a phone call to B. Okay, let's set a password. And the password is China 123. All right. When you try to encrypt your message, please use that key. I told you, right? That is called pre-shared key. And we need to combine with the certificate and hash algorithm and symmetric and asymmetric algorithm together to do the data verification. All right. Okay, then we introduce the VPN one by one. And first is called GRE, generic routing encapsulation. And it is a layer 3 VPN. And it is a very ancient one. Very, very ancient one. All right. Okay, why we need GRE? What is the background of this type of VPN? Okay, let's see. Actually, we can move to this page. See this one. See this one. Several years ago, maybe 20 or 30 years ago, at the beginning of the network development, we have several L3 protocol, not just IP. Nowadays, the mainstream is IP, right? Nowadays, we use IPv4 and IPv6. But before that, we have several L3 protocol, such as ATM, IP, and Apple Talk. They are both, all of these type is the L3 protocol. But sometimes, for example, the ATM network try to send a message to the IP network, but the L3 protocol is not the same. All right. For example, this is Apple company, APPLE, Apple, and they're using the Apple Talk. And it is a L3 protocol. And the ISP network, ISP, using the IP protocol. L3 is IP. And Apple Talk, Apple using the Apple Talk, all right? And maybe this is the headquarter, and there is a branch. There is a branch, all right? And branch, inside of the branch Apple company still use the Apple Talk. And when the traffic sent from the HQ Apple company across the ISP, send message to the branch Apple company, what is the issue? The IP protocol, the L3 protocol, is not the same one, right? Which means the IP cannot, it is not compatible to the Apple Talk. Let's make a metaphor. Just like, I'll give you a metaphor. Island. There is an island. And there's also another island. Island A and Island B. And the people live in Island A and B. They're using the bicycle. They're using the bicycle. As the traffic tool. Bicycle. They prefer to use the bicycle, all right? But this is sea. Sea, water. If the island A, the people want to travel to the island B, if they just ride a bicycle, can they cross the sea? Can they cross the sea? No, right? No way. No way. If you want to cross the sea, you need to have a boat. You need to have a boat, right? It's just like this way. Apple Talk. Apple Talk is the bicycle. Bicycle. And ISP is the sea. If you want to cross the sea, you need a boat. And that is the issue. That is the issue, all right? And how to fix this? How to fix this issue, problem? Actually easy. If we put the bicycle on a boat, the bicycle as a passenger, and the boat is a traffic tool, a bicycle on a boat, right? Okay, across the sea. And when this boat arrived the island B, okay, encapsulate. Yeah, now I have a bicycle because I have already on the land, No need to use the boat, so I can ride a bicycle on island B. And for this scenario, yeah, the traffic sent by the HQ Apple company, L3 information is Apple Talk, right? Apple Talk. And when this traffic try to across the ISP network, which is the IP network, we need to put a new L3 header on the original one, new L3 IP. And this is the origin L3 Apple Talk. This is the passenger, and this is the transport tool. And when the traffic arrived the branch, remove this part and recover IP talk part. All right. And what about the middle part of between the Apple Talk L3 and new IP L3? GRE. GRE, encapsulation header. GRE header, just GRE header. All right. By this metaphor, this example, can you understand? Because I think this example is easy to understand, easy to know. That's why we need GRE 20 or 30 years ago. Am I clear? Yeah, good. Okay, then let's see the GRE protocol stack. After GRE encapsulation, the format of the message is like that. All right. Okay, see that? Oh, what is IPX? IPX is another L3 protocol. IPX is another L3 protocol. And IPX is the passenger protocol, and the IP header is the transport protocol. And between them, the IPX header and IP header is the GRE header. All right, and the rest part, this is layer 2 information. This is layer 2. Payload, layer 4 and layer 5. All right, that's the logic. That's the logic of the GRE. And L3, which is encapsulated inside, in the inside part, is called the passenger protocol. And outside L3 protocol is the transport protocol, L3, IP header. But what if now the ISP network use IPX or ATM, and headquarter company and branch company use IP? Can we exchange the place of this one and this one? Of course we can. If the transport protocol is IPX or ATM, and the passenger protocol is IP, is that okay? Of course we can do that. But nowadays, because the mainstream is the IP, so the transport protocol, generally speaking, is IP. All right. GRE encapsulation. This is the format. This is the format. All right. So how to create a GRE VPN? Step 1, add GRE header to the origin packet. Step 2, add a new IP header before the GRE header. All right. Yeah. See, okay. This is a detail. This is a detail. The encapsulation detail. The PCA send a origin packet. Of course, the requirement is PCA try to communicate with PCB, and they are in two different company. Maybe one is the headquarter, another is the branch. An IP address of A and B is 192.168.1.1 and 2.1. Okay, and the middle part is the ISP, and of course they have their own gateway, and the gateway is firewall A and B. And then PCA just send a origin packet. The destination IP is, for example, this one is sent by the PCA, right? Destination IP is 192.168.2.1. Yeah, first step, send. Okay, then check the routing table. Check the routing table. If I want to go this place, the next hop is 10.1.1.1. Okay, pay attention. What is 10.1.1.1? And according to this page, the 10.1.1.1 is the tunnel IP of the firewall A. I said, if we want to use the VPN technology, we need to establish a tunnel first. What is a tunnel? Encapsulation, right? Encapsulation. And when we finish the encapsulation of GRE, we need to have a new header, right? How to define that new IP header's address? We need to modify the new IP header according to the tunnel configuration. All right. And the configuration method of GRE is we need to generate a tunnel interface first. And the tunnel interface is a logic interface, not a physical interface. Do you still remember when we used the ENSP to create a topology? Actually, we're using the physical interface of a device. For example, GE000, GE001, 002. And that interface, that port is begin with GE, right? And that is a physical interface. If it is a real device, we can see a lot of holes, right? A lot of holes. And we can insert the cable and fiber into those holes, right? That's physical interface. And the tunnel interface is a logic one. We cannot see. It is a virtual concept. It's just like the tunnel interface is inside of the device, and we cannot see that. And the tunnel interface is also the end of a tunnel. Because I mentioned, for a tunnel, we have two ends. A tunnel have two ends. The entrance and the exit. Entrance and exit. But what is the entrance and what is exit? Tunnel interface. All right? And since it is an interface, it need to configure, it need to modify an IP address. And in this case, 10.1.1.1. All right? So when PCA send the origin message to the firewall A, okay, check the routing table. Okay, this guy want to go 192.168.2.0 or 2.1. And where is the next station? Where is the next hop? Okay, next hop is 10.1.1.1. Which means I need to put this message sent from the PCA into the tunnel, into the GRE tunnel, right? Okay. Then step two, tunnel interface encapsulation, which means, yeah, I want to pack. I need to pack the origin packet, encapsulate the packet. And the outside layer, outside L3 header need to use a public IP, right? A public IP, and that is 1.1.1.1. So the tunnel source IP is 1111, and tunnel destination is 2222. So that's why one end, another end. Yes, we need to talk about the public IP and the tunnel IP. And you may be confused about why we need two IP address. It seems like the 10.1.1.1, this tunnel IP is useless, right? It seems like this one is useless because it seems like after encapsulation, the new IP header, the source IP address is 1111 and destination is 2222. But what about 10.1.1.1? And what about 10.1.1.2? It seems like useless, but no. At that time, the designer designed a GRE VPN. The logic is we need to define a tunnel interface, and the tunnel interface do need a IP for routing table check-in. When the router, the L3 device check the routing table, the next hop, if the next hop is 10.1.1.1, which is the tunnel interface IP, which means the origin packet need to go inside to the tunnel. So actually, this is a signal, some kind of a signal. Once you see the next hop is 10.1.1.1, which means this packet need to go inside to the GRE tunnel. All right, that's the meaning of the tunnel IP. Am I clear? Is that clear? Is that clear? Okay, good. Then after encapsulation, yeah, I see the next hop is 10.1.1.1. Okay, I know that. For the firewall, I know that. I need to put that message into the GRE tunnel. And I need to do the encapsulation. And after I finish the encapsulation, I see the source IP, the outer L3 header 1111 to 2222. So the message can send from the firewall A across the ISP to the firewall B. And after firewall B receive that, because it is the tunnel interface receive the message, then decapsulate. Since the message have a GRE header, which means this message is a VPN packet. So the receiver received that. I need to take off the encapsulation, the outer header. I need to remove that. So the file will be remove the GRE encapsulation and recover the origin packet. Source IP address 192.168.1.1. Destination 192.168.2.1. So the message sent to the PCB finally. That is the procedure of GRE. Okay, since you have no question, since you're clear, then we can see what happened. What happened to a firewall when the firewall enable a GRE VPN configuration? Okay, tunnel. And this tunnel is the GRE interface tunnel, all right? And we need to put that logic tunnel into a security zone, of course, since it is a interface, and we need to put that interface into a specific security zone. And I said, if one interface want to handle and forward traffic, it need to put into a specific security zone. If not, that interface will be useless, cannot forward any traffic. All right, and mentioned this sentence so many times. So if later you want to configure the Huawei firewall, please remember that. That is very important. Okay, PCA send a message, and the message is received by the firewall interface GE101. This is a physical interface, right? Physical interface. We can see that interface by our eyes. We can see that. Okay, and check the routing table. Check the routing table. Okay, next hop is a tunnel. It's a tunnel interface. Okay, then see that? Go to this way. Go to this way. Okay, here is the question. Here is the question. PCA, when the router, when the firewall A received the message sent from PCA and destination is 192.168.2.0, this network segment, next hop is a tunnel interface. But where does this root information come from? Where does this root information come from? See that? Destination. Okay, this one. Next hop, 10.1.1.1, tunnel interface. Where does this root information coming from? Actually, we need to define it. The network manager need to define need to modify a static route to tell the firewall if you receive a message, the destination is 192.168.2.1. Okay, then put that message to the next hop, 10.1.1.1. We need to tell the firewall. Otherwise, how does the firewall know the message need to go into a GRE tunnel, right? Okay, so when we check those detail information, we can imagine the configuration we need to take, right? And then encapsulation and send out. And it is because the interface GE102 have a public IP, for example, 1111, right? Encapsulate, send out to the firewall B. Okay. And you also seen this. See, this interface, the left side, local, right side, untrust. Okay, another question. I'm confused. Since it is an interface, and one interface can only belong to one security zone, right? Can only belong to one security zone. But in this case, it seems like this GE102 belongs to local and untrust both. So what is the exact security zone that the G102 belongs to? Local or untrust? Actually, I have explained that before. Now I'm asking you this question. See this, G102. This interface belongs to local or untrust. If the local is A, untrust is B. A or B? Question. Please tell me your answer. Joseph, you said it's B. Any other question? Any other answer? Yeah, someone answered me the question. He said it's B. Yeah, you are correct. The answer is B. Yes, good. But why in this image, in this slide, interface G102, left side is local? Why? Because the traffic is after encapsulation, right? And after encapsulation, which means the traffic is from the firewall itself, right? Because after encapsulation, the source IP address is 1111, and that 1111 is an IP address which belongs to the firewall A itself. If the traffic is sent from the firewall itself, then the source zone is local, right? So that's why in this image, left side is local. But actually, this interface belongs to untrust zone. Joseph, you are so good. Yeah, the answer is B. It belongs to untrust zone, not local. This local means the traffic is from the firewall itself because the origin packet have been encapsulated. Now the new IP header, source IP is 1111, destination is 2222. It's a new packet. Okay. So since you know the meaning of this point, then tell me how to define a security policy. How to define the security policy. Just tell me the direction. Tell me.
You repeat again, please, the question?
Okay, the question is, now we have established the configuration of GRE VPN, right? And we need to modify, we need to create several security policies, right? And how many security policy we need? Question one. And question two is the traffic direction of that security policies. First question is how many security policy we need to modify. And question two is what is the direction for these security policies?
I think we need to modify the DMC and add the.
First question, how many security policy we need to generate? How many?
The first one is to every package that it's inbound, but I'm not sure it is out. Let me check. Let me check.
Yeah, you can think about it. And you just mentioned a word, and you mentioned the first, which means there is a second one, right? Okay, you're good. You're good. Actually, we need to modify two security policy. The first security policy is we need to allow the PC1 try to access PCB, right? Because when the firewall receives the message from the PCA, it's a origin packet, right? And that origin packet is 192.168.1.1 to 192.168.2.1, right? So we need to define that first. Origin packet. We need to define a security policy for that origin packet. And that's not enough because the origin packet need to encapsulate. And after encapsulation is a GRE packet, right? And the GRE packet is sent from local to untrust. And that is the traffic direction. So we need the second one, local to untrust. 1111 to 2222. So the answer is two security policy. And the first security policy is untrust. Is the source zone is trust, destination zone untrust. And the second security policy is local to untrust. All right. Okay. Am I clear? Am I clear? I made a mistake. It shouldn't be the trust to untrust. The first security policy is, wait a minute. So trust DMZ. This is the first one, first security policy. And the second one is local to untrust. That's the security policy we need to define. All right. Okay. I think we can take a break. All right, take a break. For 10 minutes. Okay, let's go back. Let's go back. And now we finished the GRE part. Now we finished the GRE part, right? And I believe you have the concept of the VPN, L3 VPN, right? And GRE is the most simplest one, but the logic is important. If you can understand that logic, then it's easy to understand what is IPsec VPN. Okay, IPsec. It is because the GRE and L2TP do not have the function of the encryption and integrity check. So actually, it is not so safe because 3 words, integrity, availability, and confidentiality. For the VPN, we need to keep the 2, availability and confidentiality. Oh, sorry, it should be integrity and confidentiality. All right, encryption and hash. And the IPsec can provide that 2 function. All right, and that's why the name of this VPN, there is a word, sec, and this sec is security. And it is a end-to-end VPN, end-to-end VPN. And this topology is the typical one, site-to-site VPN. And of course, if the PC installed an agent, then the PC itself can use IPsec VPN. All right. Okay, and this is the IPsec VPN architecture. It is a framework. Actually, this technology is a framework. 2 kind of header, because when I introduce you the GRE, the header is just one type, and that's GRE type, GRE header, right? GRE header. You need to insert between the new IP header and the origin IP header. Between them, there is a GRE header, all right? And just one type. But for the IPsec VPN, we have 2, AH and ESP. AH is authentication header. As the name suggests, authentication means the AH can provide a function of authentication to prove who you are. That's integrity, right? And ESP have 2 functions. First is authentication, and the second is encryption, which means actually the ESP in some way is better than AH because ESP have more functions, right? And also the ESP is the mainstream now. At the most of the scenario, when we use the IPsec VPN, we choose the ESP as the encapsulation header or encapsulation protocol. All right. And since we choose the type of encapsulation header, then we need to consider about another thing. And that thing is how to achieve the encryption and decryption, right? And encryption, decryption based on the symmetric algorithm and asymmetric algorithm. And that 2 encryption, decryption algorithm need to exchange the key information, right? The key information. Okay, but how to exchange the key information? Then this thing, IKE, Internet Key Exchange Negotiation. And that's the most powerful part of IPsec VPN. That's why IPsec VPN is so good to use, because IKE. All right. Now we know the architecture of IPsec VPN. First, we need to define a header which is used to encapsulate origin packet. Then we consider about how to do the encryption, which means how to exchange the key information, IKE. All right. And these are the algorithm the ESP and AH support. Because I said the ESP can have two functions, encryption and authentication, integrity and confidentiality, right? And for the encryption algorithm, DES, 3DES, AES, SM1 and SM2, SM4, all right? And that's the algorithm for encryption. And all these type is the symmetric algorithm. It's symmetric algorithm. It is used to encrypt the traffic, the real traffic, right? Because I said the symmetric algorithm is suitable for the large size data, right? Because symmetric algorithm is quite simple. It just consumes few resources, right? Okay, and authentication is the hash algorithm, right? MD5, SHA1, SHA2, SM3, and this is China standard. This is China standard. And MD5 is not recommended because it's not safe. It's not safe anymore. And of course, for the encryption part, DES and 3DS is not secure nowadays. Nowadays, we use AES, all right? And since I mentioned the symmetric algorithm, but where is the asymmetric part? See that? Key exchange. The key exchange part, the IKE, will use the asymmetric algorithm, but with method, and that method is called DH, all right? And you can also see this word, ISAComp. And this ISAComp almost refers to IKE. Almost refers to IKE, all right? You just understand the ISAComp equal to IKE, all right? Almost equal to IKE. As for the AH, security protocol, the authentication, the encryption, encapsulation type, AH, do not have the function of encryption, right? So there is no encryption algorithm, only authentication part. And the same algorithm, MD5, SHA, and SM, okay? And that's the packet format. That's the packet format after encapsulation by IPsec VPN. And the left side is the AH format. AH format. New IP header outside, outer encapsulation, plus AH header, then row IP header, which means the origin one. TCP and data. All right, that's the format. And this is the attribute for the AH header. Next header, payload length, reserve, SPI, sequence number, authentication, data. Okay, and the ESP is a little bit complicated than the AH because ESP have two functions, encryption and authentication. And the format is the new IP header, ESP plus ESP, and the rest part is origin. Actually, maybe this is the transport mode, but actually nowadays we use the tunnel mode a lot. But this page shows us the encapsulation format of the ESP. Okay. Then we need to know the mode, two mode of IPsec. Actually is the encapsulation mode of IPsec. First is called transport mode. The transport mode, see that? Before the encapsulation and after encapsulation, there is only one IP header. There's only one IP header. Just the origin one, without new IP header. Why? It seems like different with what I said at the beginning, right? And this is a very typical scenario. Is the PC try to access the headquarter company's server and it need a new IP header, right? But in this page, only one IP header, or the original one. But where is the new IP header? Okay, the transport mode are suitable for that scenario. Let me show you. For example, in one DC, in one company, inside of a company, Department A PC, Department A PC1, try to communicate with Department B PC2. All right, between them is the different security zone, and it is because they are in same DC. They're all use the private IP address. They're all using private IP address, but the communication between them still need to keep the safe, still need to guarantee the safe, secure. All right, so the PC1 and PC2, their firewall, they need to establish a IPsec tunnel. And that tunnel do not need a new IP header, do not need a public IP address, just the security part. So that's why we have the transport mode. The scenario is if two terminal communicate inside of one company, do not need a public IP address, and they still need the security. So they use the transport mode without a new IP header. All right. Okay, and this is AH, the AH type IP header. Between the IP header L3 and L4, we insert a AH header. All right, and that's the AH type. And what about the ESP? Between the L3 and L4, insert a ESP header. And also at the end of the packet, we add new part, ESP tail and ESP authentication data. All right, seems complicated, but it's okay because the ESP have two functions, encryption and authentication, and that part is for authentication. All right. Okay, and what if we want more function? We want to use the AH and ESP together. If we use AH and ESP together, then the format is like that. But just ignore this part. It's too complicated. That's too complicated. All right. Actually, the second type, just ESP, is the mainstream. And we can see the encrypted part. The encrypted range, the scale of the encrypted is from the L4, the origin packet L4, to the ESP tail, which means that L4 information and the application layer L5 information has been encrypted. We cannot see. All right. But AH, just authentication without encryption, is plain text. And this one is ciphertext. Okay. And the second mode is the tunnel mode. Tunnel mode means terminal and terminal, A and B, PC1, PC2. They want to establish a IPsec tunnel across the internet, across the ISP network. So they need public IP address. So they need to add a new IP header before the origin packet. So that's why when we check the tunnel mode, we can see after encapsulation, the whole packet have two IP header, new IP header and a row IP header. All right. New IP header and ESP header, and encrypted scale is from the origin L3 to the origin L5. That 1, 2, 3, L3 to L5 part for the origin packet is encrypted, ciphertext. Okay. Tunnel mode. This is transport mode and tunnel mode. And tunnel mode, I believe, is the most widely used mode. Okay, then it's about data encryption and authentication. And that's how the IPsec work. And there are two keys, data key. And that key is used to encrypt the data part. And of course, it is a symmetric algorithms key, right? And that's not enough because the ESP, the IPsec, support the function of authentication. So we need another key, the MAC key to do the authentication algorithm, and which called HMAC. And that's the algorithm supported by the IPsec, and that is used to guarantee the integrity. All right, integrity. And this one is a vector, initial vector. That's all about math and the procedure of how IPsec encrypt the message and authenticate the message. The detailed information is too complicated. It's all about math. So there's no need for us to zoom in to talk about the detail. All right. We just know the logic. Okay, after the sender do the encryption and plus the integrity part, the hash part, then send the message to the receiver. And after receive the message, okay, first use the MAC key to check whether this packet has been tampered with. If it is not be tampered with, which means it is complete. There is no man in the middle. There is no hacker between them. All right. Then use the data key to decrypt the message, and you can see this the plain text. All right. Okay. And this is just like the result. It's like the result. The result is the sender sent an encrypted message to a receiver. But how? How to create, how to exchange those keys, right? That's the point. The answer is, I mentioned IKE, Internet Key Exchange. IKE, key negotiation. And that is based on one kind of algorithm, and that is DH. DH. All right. Okay. I need to make a conclusion, show you something. Because if I just talk about the training slide, maybe you're confused. For the IPsec, there are two phase one, or step one and step two. Phase one and phase two for IPsec. The phase one is the firewall use the IKE to exchange the asymmetric algorithm's key. To establish a IKESA. The result of phase 1 is to create a pair of IKESA. IKESA. Why? Do you still remember? Do you still remember yesterday I introduced you this part? PKI. I introduced you the PKI. Yeah. Digital envelope. Digital envelope, right? The digital envelope is I encrypt the symmetric algorithm by using the asymmetric algorithm's key, right? And that's called, the result is the digital envelope. And for the IPsec, we need to have the asymmetric algorithm key first, right? So for the phase 1 is the procedure, the firewall A and firewall B exchange their asymmetric algorithm's key, private key and the public key. But it is not just, okay, the firewall A send its public key to the firewall B, and the firewall B send its public key to firewall A. Not like that. They generate their own asymmetric algorithm key in real time. And by using a mechanism called DH, Diffie-Hellman, and that's the name of a genius guy. And this is the man who create this algorithm. All right, it's all about math. It's all about math function. We just need to know the result. By using the DH, the firewall A and firewall B generate the material, first generate the material of the key material. And there are so many materials, SKID E, SKID D, and nonce value. So many attributes, so many values in order to create the IKESA. And once the IKESA is established, which means the asymmetric key they have already exchanged. They finished the exchanging of the asymmetric algorithm's key. Then they can generate a symmetric algorithm's key, and that's phase 2. So the phase 2, the purpose is to exchange the digital envelope. Which means the symmetric algorithm key. And that key is used to encrypt the real traffic, the real data part. So the phase 1 is called, it's just like the control panel, the control plan. And the phase 2 is the traffic plan. All right, phase 1 and phase 2. And for the IKE, we have several methods. The most safest one is we can exchange the certificate. That certificate maybe is coming from the CA. And that's the most powerful method. but it is complicated. And we need to pay the money to the CA. Then the CA can help us and give us the certificate. And the firewall, if the firewall A and B both have the certification, they can exchange the certification and establish the IKESA and establish the phase 1. All right. And then if this phase 1 is established, then the firewall A and B, FW, can move to the phase 2. All right. And after phase 2 is established, then the firewall A and B can establish another pair of SA, and that is called IPsec SA. So according to, based on this two phase, actually our final goal is to get this one. Our final goal is to get IPsec SA, which means firewall A and B exchange the symmetric algorithms key, right? That's our purpose. But in order to achieve that, we need to use the phase 1 to keep this procedure safe. All right, so we need IKESA, step 1 and step 2. That is the logic, working principle of IPsec. Am I clear about this part? Am I clear about this part? Phase 1 and phase 2. Hello? Any questions? Are you still listening? Okay. Maybe it's a little bit abstract. A little bit abstract. Yeah. At the first time I try to study the IPsec VPN, I also confused because there are so many concepts, so many ideas, and they are mixed together. So yes, it's hard to understand those details 100%. It's hard for the first time. And maybe if you're interested in the logic of IPsec VPN, you can check the training material maybe 2 or 3 times. Then you can handle that. But I just tell you the logic because the logic is the most important part. Phase 1 and phase 2. The phase 1 is used to generate a IKESA, and the IKESA means the firewall 1 and firewall 2 have already exchanged their asymmetric algorithms key. Okay, since the phase 1 is finished, then move to phase 2. The phase 2, since we have the firewall A and B have the asymmetric key, then they can use the asymmetric key to encrypt the symmetric key. Because the symmetric key is used to encrypt the traffic, the real traffic. And after the symmetric key is exchanged by the firewall A and B, then we have a IPsec SA, phase 1, phase 2. Okay. Yeah, and this is the IPsec assay. This assay needs to be established between IPsec peers to IPsec endpoint before IPsec security transmit data. But before the IPsec assay, it should be IKE assay. Actually, the order of IKSA and IPsec assay is IKE assay first, then IPsec assay. All right? And that is the procedure of phase 1 and phase 2. For the phase 1, we have two modes: main mode and aggregation mode. Aggressive mode, not aggregation. Aggressive mode and main mode. And main mode have 6 packets. A and B, firewall A and B need to exchange 6 packets in the phase 1 main mode. All right. And also for the IKE, Internet Key Exchange, we have two versions. And V1 means version 1. V2 means version 2. All right. And actually nowadays we're using the V2 most, because V2, IKE V2, we just need to exchange 4 packets and establish the IKE assay and IPsec assay. But it is because the V1 is so classic. It's so classic one. So we still need to know that. Phase 1, IKE V1, main mode, logic. Phase 1, we have IKE V1 and IKE V2. In IKE V1, we have two modes: main mode and aggressive mode. Okay, that's the logic. Phase 1, two versions, IKE V1, IKE V2. And IKE V1 have two modes, main mode and aggressive mode. And main mode, the firewall A and B need to exchange 6 packets. And for the aggressive mode, just 3 packets. Okay, and this page, sorry, not this one. This page is the main mode. Free shared key. Negotiation in main mode. What is pre-shared key? It's just like firewall A and B, before they try to establish a IPsec VPN, IPsec tunnel, they need to figure out the method to identify each other, right? They need to negotiate a password before that. Okay, then it's just like the network manager of HQ company make a phone call to the branch company's IT manager. Okay, and it just said, your firewall and my firewall need to establish a IPsec VPN, all right? And we use the pre-share key mode. Use the pre-share key to authenticate each other, because we don't have the certification. We don't have certificates from CA. That's too expensive. We just use pre-share key, and that is free. And now my pre-share key is China 123. And when you deploy your firewall, when you try to configure your firewall, please use the same pre-share key, China 123. That is the meaning, pre-shared key. If both two sides, the pre-shared key is the same, okay, authentication finished, all right? And this is main mode, including 6 packets. And the first 2 packets is used to exchange the proposal, which kind of algorithm we use. See that? Okay, the first is mode negotiation, main mode or aggressive mode, and algorithm determination. For example, for hash algorithm, you use MD5 or SHA1 or SHA2 or SM. For the encryption algorithm, you use DES or 3DS or AES or SM4. Okay, then the firewall A sent to the firewall B, initiator and receiver, and the firewall B receive that and check its own firewall. Okay, maybe I think the AES is better than DS. So for the encryption algorithm, I choose AES. And for the hash algorithm, I choose to use SHA2. Then tell the firewall A initiator, right? So packet 1, packet 2, they exchange the proposal, determine the proposal, determine the algorithm and mode. And then packet 3 and packet 4, 3 and 4, they change the key material. They change the key material. And among the DH, by using the DH exchange, nonce exchange. All right. By exchange those value, both two sides knows the key value, the asymmetric keys value. They can calculate that. All right. Not just exchange. All right. Instead, they change the key material instead of the complete asymmetric key. And that's why the DH is so good. Even if there is a hacker and steal the message of packet 3 and 4, the hacker cannot know the real public key of both two sides. No. Because pre-shared key. They need to know the pre-shared key. And then 5 and 6, packet 5 and 6, they exchange the identity authentication part, which means they exchange the pre-shared key. And on packet 5 and packet 6, these two packets have already been encrypted, which means packet 5 and packet 6 is in ciphertext, and packet 1, 2, 3, 4 is plain text. All right. Okay. After the 6 packets exchanging, they finish the phase 1. IKV1 main mode phase 1 finished. 6 packet. All right. And after that, we need to I need to introduce you the aggressive mode. Compare with the main mode, the aggressive mode for phase 1 just have 3 packets. Just send 3 packets. Because why just 3? In the main mode, the authentication information is sent in packet 5 and packet 6. But aggressive mode, it just sent in the first packet. So aggressive mode is not so secure. Is not so secure because the packet 1 and packet 2 is plain text. So which means if the hacker can get the message of the aggressive mode, packet 1 and packet 2, the hacker can know the pre-shared key. All right. So it is not so safe. That's aggressive mode. And phase 2, it is called quick mode. That's phase 2. All right, phase 2. Since phase 1, IKESA, we have already established. Then quick mode. Now it's about time to determine the symmetric algorithm's key, because the symmetric algorithm key is used to encrypt the real traffic, right? And the quick mode, IKV1 quick mode, have 3 packets, need to exchange 3 packets, all right? Nonce value, also, they're exchanged key material. And after 3 packets exchanging, they get the symmetric algorithm's key, which means the IPsec assay established. Okay, and I just introduced you the IKE V1 and IKE V1 main mode, aggressive mode, and the quick mode. Main mode and aggressive mode is about phase 1. It's about the phase 1. Phase 1, all right? And the quick mode is about phase 2. It's about the phase 2. And then IKV2. Phase 1 and phase 2, just 4 packets, all right? And for the IKV2, first packet and second packet, including the proposal, including the key information, key material, 1 and 2. And packet 3 and 4, the firewall A and B can establish the IPsec assay. All right. So the key part of the IKV2 actually is the packet 1 and packet 2. Okay, that's the theoretical part of IPsec VPN. Now, I think it's about time to do some practice. Let me show you how to deploy IPsec VPN between 2 firewalls. Of course, Huawei device. eLab. Where is the eLab? Okay. We just open the ENSP. Open the ENSP. And maybe this part you can do the practice with me. We do this practice together. All right. New topology and RAG USG 6000V 2 USG, all right, firewall 1 and firewall 2. Okay, start device. And also we need a cloud. UDP, add. Ethernet IP 192, begin with 192.168.0.10. Click it. Add. Okay, then UDP, another UDP. Add. 1, 2, 3, right? 1 and 2 mapping 2 and 3 mapping. Okay, 1 and 2. Two-way channel. Add. Now we have one interface. Then 2 and 3 mapping and add. And use the copper to link with the cloud and the firewall. And pay attention. For the firewall, 6000V. G000 is the manage port. All right, manage port. Okay, in order to simulate the ISP network, I'm going to use two routers. All right, two routers. And a switch. Two switch, right? Two switch. Start the device of the router. And two PC. Two PC. PC1 and the PC2. And we need to design the IP address. Design IP address. Okay. Now the router is up. IP address of PC1. We assume that it is 192.168.1.1/24. And the gateway. Gateway. 192.168.1.254. And the gateway is on firewall 1, interface G101. All right. Firewall 1, 192.168.1.254. Sorry. And the security zone. Trust. Oh, we also need to start the switch. And then the IP address of PC2, 192.168.2.1, and the gateway. Okay, and security zone. Okay, and the link between the firewall 1 and router 1. Oh, I think one router is enough. In order to save time, two routers, we need to modify several static routes, right? That's a little bit complicated. In order to save time, just one router. 100.1.1.1. Zone untrust. And router 1, this interface G000. Okay, and firewall 2, 200.1.1.1. And security zone. Oh, high latency. What's the matter? All the latency is too high. Untrust. Oh, what's the wrong? Sorry, I need to restart the eLab. The latency is 5,000 millisecond. And okay, this part is the HQ company. Oh, this is the HQ. Headquarter. And this part, the right side, right side. Branch. All right, branch. And the middle part is ISP. All right, ISP. Okay, then the IP design is finished, right? IP design is finished. Then we can modify the IP address of PC1 and PC2 because this is the most easiest path. 192.168.1.1 subnet mask. Okay. Okay, and then router sysname R1 000 interface G000 IP address interface G001 IP address 200.1.1.2. Okay. Yeah, finished. And then configuration of these two firewall. Sysname firewall 1. Okay, and then firewall 2. Oh, sorry. Modify the manager port. Service manage ping permit. Service manage HTTP permit. Service manage HTTPS permit. Okay. Mhm. And the firewall 2. Mhm. Because firewall 2, the default manage IP address is same with the firewall 1. So we need to change it. Change the manage IP of firewall 2 to the 192.168.0.2. 0.2, all right? And firewall 1 is .1. Let's give you some tips. FW default PWD. Okay, then we can open the firewall 1 and firewall 2 website page on Chrome. Okay, your connection is not private. See that? Now I believe you know the reason why the Chrome tell us that. It is because the firewall 1 and firewall 2 do not have a CA certification. So that's why the browser tell us it is not safe. There are some potential risks. We can choose to proceed, and we can also choose not to. Okay, then we do the basic configuration. The basic configuration should be interface and zone, right? Let's check the topology. Okay, it should be 101 as the trust. Yeah, 101 trust, and it is linked to PC, and 100 is the public. Okay. 100. Zone, untrust. And we can also wrote down some description to internet. This is a description. IP address 100.1.1.1. Okay, and service manage ping permit. This is the bottom. Okay. And interface G101. Zone, trust. IP address. IP address. Okay. And firewall 2. Modified interface 100. Untrust. IP address 200.1.1.1. Ping permit. Okay. And 101. Trust. 192.168.2.254. Okay. And don't forget the static root. All right. Don't forget the static root. We need to modify a default route to tell the firewall 1 how to view the internet, because the firewall 1 and firewall 2 need to establish an IPsec tunnel through the internet, right? So we need to tell the firewall how to find the firewall 2. So define a static route. Default 0.0.0.0.0.0.0. That's enough. Next hop 100.1.1.2. That's the IP address of router 1. Okay, and for the firewall 2, same. The route information, static route, add. Next hop 200.1.1.2. Okay. Then we finish the configuration of the basic part. Then let's test. First, use the PC1. Try to ping the gateway 192.168.1.254. Okay, no problem. No problem. And PC2. Ping its gateway 192.168.2.254. Oh yeah, good, no problem. And use the router to test. Log in to the router. Test the direct link of firewall 1 and firewall 2. Ping 100.1.1.1. Okay, no problem. And ping 200.1.1.1. Okay, no problem. The interface configuration is all okay, all correct. Then it's about time to configure the security policy in IPsec. Okay, first, we configure the FW1. Where is the IPsec configuration? Network, right? Network. See that? Below the root part, there is a IPsec. In IPsec, click it. Add a new IPsec policy. And the scenario is side to side, one side to one side. By default, side to side is okay. No need to change. Okay, and a policy name, no, whatever, IPsec, all right? Just call IPsec, it's okay. And local interface, which means we need to use which interface to establish a IPsec tunnel with the remote side. The local side, we're going to choose the interface 100, right? Because 100, see that description is to internet, so we choose 100. Local address 100.1.1.1. Peer, which means the remote side, firewall 2, the public IP is 200.1.1.1. All right, okay. And pre-shared key, see that pre-shared key? Pre-shared key is used to authenticate each other. And this time I set the pre-shared key as Huawei at 123. And you can set the pre-shared key whatever you want. For example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but it is too simple. All right, it's okay. Pre-shared key. Well, I set Huawei at 123. And the local ID, IP address, no need to modify. No need to modify. Okay, and the data flow to encrypt. What is the meaning of the data flow to encrypt? Think about it. The traffic we want to encrypt it is the PC1 to PC2, right? So we need to modify which kind of traffic need to go into the IPsec tunnel, right? So we should modify the source and destination 192.168.1.1/23. All right, okay, just wrote down like that. And destination 192.168.2.1/32. All right, and protocol any action encrypt. Okay. And reverse route injection. Once we click this one, the firewall will generate a UNR type route, user route, to tell the router, to tell the firewall itself where is 192.168.2.1. All right. Okay, we can choose that reverse route injection. And IPsec proposal. That's the proposal part. We need to configure the IKE. What kind of algorithm we use, right? Okay, version by default, version 1 and version 2 IKE is enabled, both enabled. But this time I just want the version 1. And negotiation mode, I choose main mode. All right. And the rest part, encryption, authentication, DH group, keep default. All right, keep default. That's enough. And IPsec parameters, algorithm, security protocol, we use the ENSP. Oh, sorry, not ENSP. ESP, not ENSP. ESP. And the rest part, keep default. It's okay. Apply. Okay, finished. Then firewall 2. IPsec. Same configuration method, right? The policy just called IPsec policy. A local interface 100. Peer 100.1.1.1. And pre-share key. Don't forget the pre-share key. Huawei at 123. And local ID, no need to configure. Data flow to encrypt. Modify which PC, try to access which PC. Source address. This time it should be 192.168.2.1/32, right? And destination 192.168.1.1/32. Okay. Reverse root injection. And IKE part, just V1. And the rest part, negotiation mode, I choose main. Rest part, apply. No need to change. Check the configuration. Firewall 1. Oh, cancel the V2. This is a small bug. This is a small bug of ENSP. The first time we deployed the IKE proposal, I canceled V2, but after I apply V2, still chosen. So we need to go back to the configuration view to cancel the V2. Apply. But it's okay if you don't change it. You don't cancel the V2. It's okay because by default the firewall will use the V2 to IK V2 to negotiate with the remote side. Okay. But that's not enough, right? That's not enough. We still need to modify the security policy. Security policy. Okay, first is PC1 to PC2, right? PC1 to PC2. Actually, we need a two. Source zone trust. Destination zone untrust. But the PC1 and PC2 need to negotiate in both two sides, both two directions. So actually the source and destination zone, we need to choose the multiple. Source address. And 192.168.2.1. Okay. And destination 192.168.1.1. 192.168.2.1. Okay. Permit. And service, we choose ICMP. All right, ICMP. And action, permit. Okay. And that's not enough. That's not enough because after encapsulation, the packet header, the new packet header is ESP, right? And ESP actually is a application. ESP is an application, all right? And based on UDP, and it is UDP 500, all right? Okay, add a security policy. IPsec ESP. Local to untrust, right? Local to untrust. Tunnel, establish the tunnel. That's why I ask you when we introduce the GRE part, I ask you how many security policy we need to modify. Source. No, okay, good. Okay. And firewall 2, same configuration policy. Okay, service ICMP. And of course, ESP, IPsec, ESP. Source address. Okay. And I almost finished the configuration of the IPsec policy and the security policy. And we can check whether the IPsec SA is established or not. Go back to the network. IPsec, click it. Oh. And we can use the Wireshark to catch the packet on the firewall 1, interface 100. No traffic sent. I think I need to modify the policy. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Here it is. Okay. Yeah. Do you see? Actually, 9 packets, 6 plus 3. Main mode plus the quick mode. It should be from this one, right? From this one. 100.1.1.1 send to 200.1.1.1, right? And main mode, IKE v1 main mode, including 6 packets, right? 6 packets. And the first 4 is in plain text. And the 4th one and 5th one is encrypted. Let's check it. See that? The first packet, payload, vendor ID. Okay. There is a Cisco. It's embarrassing. Actually, it's not embarrassing because the IPsec, this technology, is raised by Cisco. So the payload here, we can see Cisco. Hello? You have a question? Oh, no. And they're trying to exchange. Actually, they're trying to exchange the proposals. Yeah, here it is. Proposal. and IKE attribute. See that? These are the information proposals. First packet. And the second packet is the firewall 2 reply to the firewall 1. And also including this part. And packet 4 and 5 key exchange data, right? Key exchange data. And that's the key material. Those information are the key material, all right? Key material, nonce value, and key exchange information, all right? And the fifth one, same, nonce value and key exchange value. And start from the 5 and 6 packet. We cannot see the IK information anymore because already being encrypted. See that? Encrypted data. We cannot see encrypted data. And see that? Layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, layer 4, UDP. Source port 500, destination port 500. Internet Security Association and the Key Management Protocol. ISA comp. All right. And quick mode 3 packet. After 3 quick mode packet exchanged, the 2 firewall established the IPsec assay. And of course, the quick mode 3 packets, we cannot see the real message because already being encrypted. See that encrypted data. Okay. And now we back to the firewall 1 and check the IPsec. See, succeed 1. Succeed 1. And firewall 1, same. Succeed 1, right? One thing I need to tell you is the second security policy, service choose any. All right, service choose any. It is a small bug. But the security zone and source IP address, destination IP address is correct. Rest part is correct. Then we can make a test. PC1 ping to the PC2. Okay, successful, right? Successful. And let's check the Wireshark. See that? Actually, these 10 packets is the IPsec. After encrypted IPsec VPN's packet. And the ICMP packet is inside of it and already being encrypted. Nothing we can see, right? Nothing we can see. Encrypted ESP. And see the format. See the format. L1, L2, L3. See the L3 IP address 200.1.1.1 and 100.1.1.1 and L4, L5 ESP. All right. And we just finished this practice. And the rest of time, you can try to configure that by yourself. All right. We still have 15 minutes remaining. Am I clear? Am I clear from now on? I just finished the IPsec part. Hello? Okay. And then try to practice by yourself. Good. And then practice time until 11 o'clock. All right. Excuse me, could you upload or share the class recording, please? I'm sorry. I have asked the manager, can I share the record because I have no permission to view the record. And also I don't have the permission to upload that. It is not allowed. I'm so sorry. Because of the the policy, the company policy of Huawei, I cannot share that record. So sorry. But if you want that, if you really want that, maybe you can ask the Huawei stuff, your local side. I believe that maybe your manager can contact with the Huawei manager on Bolivia. Okay, good. I need to go to the toilet. Just give me about uh, 7 to 7 to 8 minutes, and then I'll go back. Okay, it's already 11 o'clock. It's already 11 o'clock. And I think maybe we can end the class today. And tomorrow is the last day. Tomorrow is the last day. And I will finish the rest part. And tomorrow you need to finish a small exam, just 20 questions, and also a satisfaction questionnaire. And that's really important to me. Then we can finish that two part tomorrow. All right. And today is over. All right, today's over. If you have no question, so we can see you tomorrow. Final exam. Yes. Final exam. Not worry. Don't worry. Just a small test. No, just a small test. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Gavin. Goodbye.
Yeah. Goodbye. See you tomorrow.